Hello, and welcome to our show today. It's called A Place to Call Home. I'm Portia Evans, and we are here with members from the Department of Children and Family Services. Wonderful conversation today. We'll be talking about foster parenting and adoptive parenting, and that big issue circulating the state of Louisiana, and more importantly, our region. Our very special guest live in studio with me today, Ms. Shanita Broussard. She is a welfare specialist, and Ms. Linda Smith, who is a child welfare supervisor at the Department of Children and Family Services. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you
It-
for having us.
Good to be having this conversation. Now, I want to start out talking about foster parenting, and there may be some people looking at our show today who are very, very interested in learning more about the process and how they can get involved. We know that for whatever reason, some people, God has not blessed some people with being able to conceive a child. But what a good way to give back in getting enrolled in foster parenting and adoptive parenting. So let's start the conversation with have we identified a real big need for people to say yes?
We currently have a huge need for families willing to foster adolescents and teenagers.
Okay, because everybody wants a infant and a young baby. We know that, but there is a big need for teenagers and adolescents.
Exactly.
And what happens to those teenagers and adolescents who who are not fortunate enough to get a family? What eventually happens to those children?
Well, oftentimes, depending on behaviors, we try really hard
Mm-hmm.
to find a placement resource. What often happens is that we wind up having to place that child in a home that would normally not take adolescents.
Okay.
Our foster parents can identify for us what age they're interested in. And often, what we have to do is ask a foster parent, for example, who said they were interested in a child from maybe 9 to 13, and we have a 15-year-old.
Okay.
And so we would call that foster parent if we're unable to find a foster home that has said they were willing to work with a 15-year-old. We will call a foster parent who's interested in a younger child. Sometimes, if behavior issues are prevalent, then we'll have to use another type of placement other than a foster home.
All right. Now, I know we've identified some people who have been foster parenting for years. They're dedicated to it, they love it, and they will do it over and over again in their lives. I've read some stories about some people right here in the Lafayette community
Yes.
who have embraced this for years and years and years. But there are some minimal qualifications for you to become a foster parent. So tell me about some of those.
We do ask, first of all, that the parent be at least 18, 21 actually, but no older than 65.
Okay.
You can be single, widowed, divorced, or never married.
Okay.
Uh, we don't have a set dollar amount that a family has to be earning or a certain dollar amount that has to be coming into the home, but we do verify that income to make sure that whatever that income is, it's sufficient to take care of your family's needs.
Okay.
Because children, if you've ever taken a child into your home, they have needs
Right.
that need to be addressed financially, spiritually, emotionally. So we do ask that families have enough income to take care of their own needs.
Okay.
We'll ask for personal references. We'll ask for employer references. We'll also do a background check.
Mm-hmm.
We fingerprint all of our applicants to determine if there have been any type of convictions of charges that might not allow us to be able to certify that family as an adoptive foster family.
And this encompasses the whole family, as I understand it.
Yes, and especially adult household members 18 and older.
Okay.
We don't fingerprint children under 18,
Okay.
but it does involve the entire family.
All right.
We go into the home, we interview the entire family to see if the entire family really wants to help us meet the needs of the children.
All right.
And that comes by interviewing the families. We have a training
Okay.
that all of our applicants would have to participate in. It's a 7-week training,
7 weeks.
one night a week,
Okay.
3-hour sessions from 6 to 9 at night.
Now the whole family has to attend?
Only the adults,
Only the
the
adults?
two parents,
Okay.
or the single parent.
All right.
But the children would not attend that.
Okay.
Um,
Anything else?
In terms of minimum requirements, no, I think that pretty much covered it.
All right. So,
Oh, and one big one, we do ask that you have enough space in your home for
Absolutely.
a child,
a child.
because a child cannot stay in the same bedroom with an adult.
Okay.
So the child would need their own bedroom. It doesn't have to be a 4 or 5.
And if it's a
Room-
boy, and you have other children, they would be required to stay with another boy.
Right, we
Yes.
put all boys in one room and all
Yes.
girls in another room.
Right.
But each child will need their own separate bed.
Okay.
Twin beds or bunk beds are normally sufficient.
All right. I do want to say that I've read that this could be a lengthy process. True?
No, the process takes about 90 days
90 days.
from the time we get your application.
Okay.
We start off with an orientation meeting that
Mhm.
every family would attend. And it's basically doing what you and I are doing right now. We sit down, we go back and forth with questions and answers. Because many people come to orientation meeting with questions.
Okay.
And I'm there to help to answer their questions.
And you can kind of determine if a person is going to be a good fit for a child. Because I know we don't want to place children in bad situations.
Sometimes we can't determine that right away from an orientation meeting, but that's why we have the 7-week training.
Okay.
And during that time, we're coming into the home and interviewing the family at least 3 times.
All right.
So during that 90-day period, we're getting to know one another very well, where we can make those types of conclusions.
If you're just joining us, we are talking with the Department of Children and Family Services, and we're talking about foster parenting and maybe adoption. And our very special guest, our specialist in this field. Now, I do want to say that we've pulled some numbers and we've identified some very specific numbers, especially for this area. For Lafayette Parish, I think the numbers are quite high
Yes.
from what I looked at. Can you look at those numbers
Yes.
for me?
I think statewide, we looked
Statewide.
at those numbers. We have approximately 4,300 children in foster care
Okay.
statewide. Now, when we break it down to just Lafayette region, which is composed of Lafayette Parish, of course, St. Landry Parish, Evangeline Parish, Acadia, Vermilion, St. Martin,
The whole Acadiana
Iberia,
area.
and St. Mary. We have approximately a little over 500 children in foster care in those 8 parishes.
And when you look into the eyes of these children, you know, is their message like we normally see on television or read in books, like, please take me home?
In some ways, it's like shows that you may have seen, but there's nothing like the reality of looking into the eyes of these children. They're so afraid.
Right.
They don't understand what's going on. Even, child protection, the purpose of bringing children in foster care is safety, taking them out of situations where they may be at risk for harm. Even in that environment, that's the only home, that's the only family they know. So it's very scary for them, and that's why we desperately need people who are willing to love and nurture and take care and understand what the children are experiencing, because they are traumatized, possibly from things that may have happened in the home, in addition to the separation and the abandonment and all of those feelings. So these are grieving children, hurting children who need loving families.
Now, do you work with possible situations where a mother has lost her children for some reason or another, and that mother is trying to get her children back.
Our
Is that a
foster
part
care
of?
staff.
Okay.
Yes, we work in the division that handles recruiting and training of foster parents. But our foster care staff, once children come into foster care, that is our primary goal, to reunite children with their biological parents.
And if they follow the rules,
Follow the plan,
The case plan.
follow the court's orders, etc., then within a year, they have approximately a year to work towards getting their children back. And if they do, they can. If they don't, if we're unable to reunite because the parent has not been able to demonstrate that they can provide a safe home, then those are the children that we look at of alternatives.
Right.
And adoption is usually the alternative, particularly with very young children.
is it taking very long for adoptions to happen? Do you have a time?
Well,
I mean,
actually,
normally?
our policy has changed recently, where they're trying to get adoptions completed within 60 to 90 days.
60 to 90 days. So it's
From the point where the child becomes available for adoption.
Exactly.
So relatively a quick process.
Yes.
But I know we encourage people to be patient.
Right.
Yes.
Do what you have to do. If this is something you really, really want, you can work for it and get that special child who has a need in your life. Now, I understand the state will pay a stipend for these children if you are a foster parent.
Yes. We do provide some assistance, financial assistance, also medical assistance.
Mhm.
Each child receives a medical card to take care of all of their medical needs, dental needs, surgeries, prescriptions, hospitalizations. And the monetary stipend is actually a reimbursement.
Okay.
It's to reimburse you for money that you're already spending.
Okay.
And the stipend, it is, again, it's reimbursement. You're not going to get rich off of it because it's not enough, because we know how much children eat and
Right.
how much clothing costs these days. But it's to assist you, to reimburse you for money that you've already spent.
And I had a question on the tip of my tongue, but I forgot it. But anyway.
Well, let me just add to that and say, and some of our children, even after adoption,
Okay.
will qualify for a continued financial stipend
Really?
up to age 18. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Not all. It depends on the child's eligibility and to some degree the family's income. But some children continue to be eligible for a subsidy. We call them a subsidy, adoption subsidy.
Is there a limit on the number of children you can foster at one time?
Right now, the total that you can have in your home, biological children, adoptive children, and children in the foster care system, is 5.
5 at one time.
Yes.
Okay.
Years ago, that number would be 8.
8.
And yes,
Yes.
a lot of
A
children.
lot of children.
A lot of children.
But I think recently that changed within the last year, the number 5.
Within the last year and a
Yes.
half. at
Really?
most, yes.
That's a lot of children.
That's a lot of children.
You know, we encourage you. There's a phone number on the screen. Tell them that phone number again, Miss Linda.
337-262-5970.
262-5970, area 337. If you are interested in becoming a foster parent or an adoptive parent, please get in touch with these ladies. They have a wealth of information, and they will walk you through the process. They will hold your hand through all of this, and all you have to do is contact them.
Yes.
And I am sure that if it's your heart's desire to foster a child or to parent a child through the adoption process, you can do that.
Yes.
And it only takes a short amount of time. There's over 4,300 children here in the state of Louisiana who need assistance. And we encourage you, why are we getting this message out? What's the most important thing about getting this message out?
The needs of our children, especially the adolescents and teenagers.
Adolescents and teenagers.
We're in need of families to accept these children as they are.
Right.
We're not wanting to change them. We want families who can patiently accept the children as they are.
As they are.
And to help them with the behaviors in this crisis time in their life, to help them to be able to move on
Right.
and grow from the experience, whether it be to return back to the biological parents
Right.
or onto some other form of permanency. But we want families to help us to meet the needs of our children.
Now, are foster parents allowed to connect those children with their birth parents at any time when they're in foster care?
Well, the agency maintains one of the requirements is that biological parents maintain contact with their children as long as we're continuing to work on reunification.
Okay.
Now, when the plan changes, if it does change to adoption, then the agency continues to encourage that family, if once the adoption is completed, to maybe allow some contact with the biological parent. It depends on the circumstances, however. It depends on where the biological parent is in terms of their progress with whatever caused the children to come into care. So it depends, but it is the option of the adoptive parent whether or not they continue contact after an adoption is completed. But during the time we're working with the family towards reunification, regular visitation occurs between the child and the biological parents. And as a matter of fact,
Is this mixed emotions though for that child, or?
Sometimes they are torn because of course, there's an allegiance to the biological parents.
Right.
But they've also gotten to know and love the foster parents that
Right.
they're living with. So there is, you kind of feel torn. Do I totally ignore the foster parent now that I'm visiting with my biological parent?
Right.
To show that I still love them and I want to be with them, but I also love and respect the family that's been taking care of me.
Taking care of me.
Mm.
And
So
children
there is,
know.
Yes.
Children know.
Yes.
Exactly.
They do.
They do.
And that's where the caseworkers come in to try and help children to sort out all of those feelings. Because you're right, it is a conflict.
Right.
It can be a conflict for the children.
Now, there's a young girl that I've connected with recently, and she told me maybe about 6 months ago, Miss Portia, the state came in and took all 5 of my children. What would your best advice be for that young lady? She's single.
To cooperate with the agency,
Okay.
because if they're going to sit down with her and write a case plan,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to, in detail,
She has
list
to follow
what she
that
has
plan.
to do, and she needs to follow that plan. And one component of that, as Linda was stating, are visits.
Mm-hmm.
Visits, and if income was a problem or if housing was a problem and you need to get stable housing, stable income.
That's a big part of her problem.
That's okay. So she'll need to achieve those things because in order for us to return the children,
And
we have
that's
to be able to
easier
return
said
them.
than done
It is, and it
for
takes
some
a
people.
while. It takes a while. And we realize that.
It
But if
does.
you're putting forth the effort, you're showing that you're willing to work the plan. We realize, and we will wait for you to achieve housing, achieve some sort of income.
Right. If the biological parents show good faith
Mm-hmm.
and show that they are genuinely interested in trying to get their children back, and we will work with them. Workers will,
Yes.
do what they can to help them find housing, to, point them in the right direction towards income.
And
or
this
whatever
young
it is
lady,
that they
it
need.
seems to me, I don't know, I don't mean to be critical, but it seems that there's always an excuse why I can't do this. They're all scattered. I can see 1 or 2, but I can't see all 5. I don't have a car. I don't have a job. I have nowhere to live. And I don't know. I just cannot imagine not fighting with everything within me for my children.
To get your children back.
For my children.
Well, what we've recognized in many cases is that so many of these parents, their needs were not met.
Right.
And so it's very difficult for them to make the sacrifices necessary to meet their children's needs. That's why they wind up in foster care.
Right.
And then that's why many of them don't get to go home, because the parents have so many needs of their own.
And some
They
would
just
say,
are unable.
well, why keep having them? Some would, you know.
And to be honest, sometimes we say that ourselves.
Yes.
You know, but so far there's no laws.
Right.
To
Now, on the
prevent
other
that.
hand, I have another young lady. She has 9 children.
Mhm.
And I salute her each and every day. Because this is a single mother who takes care of all 9 of them
Mhm.
by herself.
Mhm.
You know, and I am just so proud of that young lady. She's been in my life for a very, very long time.
Mhm.
I am just so proud of her that she has some way kept all 9 or 10 with herself,
Right.
all of them together, all of these years. The oldest have graduated from high school and are now in college.
Right.
And this young lady has just fought her way to keep her little family together. We're talking with the Department of Children and Family Services, 262-5970.
70.
If you are interested in being a foster parent and you just look into the camera and tell somebody something that could just encourage them today, Miss Shanita Broussard.
Call us 262-5970. We're there to answer all of your questions. We're there to motivate you. We're there to encourage you and to provide support in helping us to meet the needs of our children that we so desperately need foster and adoptive parents for our adolescents and teenagers.
And they have lots and lots of children. I mean, is it like you try to make the fit, or does the uh, presumptive parent they identify what they'd be more comfortable with, the age group they'd be more comfortable with, and then you try to make the fit?
Well, they tell us during the certification process what type of child or children, ages, gender, um, behavior challenges or
Race.
no behavior challenges, ethnicity, race, um, and then based on that information, we look for foster parents when as children come into care or need placements, and we put the information into our computer describing the child and the families who say that they're willing to accept a child that fits that description.
Is the state
become
willing to
available.
mix races?
We
Yes.
based on law, we have to. We cannot. A foster parent can say, "I only want this ethnicity or this race." We cannot, however, discriminate. So when
Okay.
a child comes into care, if it's an African American child, but there are Caucasian families, for example, who say they're willing to take we have to call all of those families and whoever is willing to take the child. So we cannot discriminate.
All right.
But families can select who they choose to work with.
All right. Well, we are hoping this conversation encourages somebody to make the step. 262-5970, and just call them up. Is there anybody special they should ask for you, Miss Broussard?
They can ask for me or any of the other 6 home development workers
Just call and say, I am interested.
in
I saw
becoming a foster or adoptive parent.
I saw that show on TV and I want me a child.
Yes.
So we encourage you to do that, folks.
And we want an older child.
Yeah, we want an older child, preferably an older child or a teenager.
Yes.
And if I might just say one other thing, Miss Portia, we encourage families to come to us. We need foster and adoptive parents. But if you come, please come because you have it in your heart to help a child. Don't come
For the check.
for the check, or don't come because of just your own needs.
Right.
Come because you really have it in your heart to help a child.
All right. Thank you, ladies, so much for coming on, for having the conversation today. And keep on doing what you're doing. I know that you work very, very hard at it. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank
And
you so much.
thank you so very much for this conversation.
And
Thank you for having
us. Thank you so much. and for this opportunity. And call us 337-262-5970.
Those
Thank
phones are going to be ringing off the hook. I believe that. That's going to wrap up our show today, and we'll be back again next week with something else. I'm Portia Evans. In the meantime, you be blessed, and bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
You
you.
made it so easy.
Oh,